Hey everybody, good morning. My name is Chatone Morrison. I am the Princess of Positivity, and I want to welcome you to Getting to After. This is our series for 2025, the Breaking Through Silence series, a part of supporting domestic violence awareness. And this is my co-host, Morganne Bustos. Girl, tell them who you are.
Hey everybody, I'm Morgan Bustos. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. I'm also an advocate, a coach, and an EFT practitioner. I know how it feels to lose your voice, but I also know the power of feeling of what it feels like to reclaim it. So together, Chatone and I are here to create a space for midlife women to find healing, confidence, and community. And it's really cool because this month we're supporting domestic violence awareness. So each week we've been doing this really, really cool thing where we're talking about survival, thriving, and finding joy. But before we start, let's make sure that it's safe. We want to make sure you guys are safe. So we want to mention to you to bookmark this and come back to it later if you don't feel like you're in a safe position to do so now and listen to it.
Awesome. Thank you. So, I'm in great company today. Today we're going to be talking about something that a lot of women in midlife and in all stages of life don't like to talk about, which is money. One of the reasons why I'm here is because not only am I an EFT practitioner, which is emotional freedom technique, as Morgan mentioned, I am a life coach, a confidence coach, I'm an author. And also, I really believe that you can release your negativity so your positive can reign in your brain, in your business, and your big, old, beautiful life. I believe that taking back your self-talk, making sure that self-talk can spin in a positive way is one of the big components of taking your power back. And although we're not trying to have everybody, find problems where there's no problems, where there is trauma, we're here to help support you in your healing, because I don't believe there's any shelf life on your healing. You don't get to some ceiling and like, oh, it's too late. It's not too late. It's never too late. So make sure that we're going to be back here every single Tuesday at 8 a.m. Even after the month of October, we'll be back to talk about other topics. But as Morgan mentioned that she's a survivor, we always come back to a little bit on domestic abuse and those signs and tips and tricks on that, because she is a survivor. And we always want to celebrate those who have survived, those who are in transition now, who have learned what it looks like to get free. That's really big on that. That's really a big thing for us. So today we're going to talk about money, Morgan. Money's a funny topic, right?
It is.
It's a little tricky to discuss because sometimes you're like, I had it, I don't have it, right? But before we jump into this, especially for our survivors, we want to do a little restorative breathing. I know you've got something special for us today. We love to start like this because, hey, it's Tuesday morning. We don't know what your commute has been or is right now. Meetings you might have, what kids you got to drop off at 3 to 5 schools. We want you to feel good. So we're going to lighten things up a little bit this week, but Morgan's going to go ahead and get us into some grounding and some breathing.
So first of all, I'd like to invite you to take off your shoes. If you're in a position to, if you're not in your car and you're stationary, just go ahead and take off your shoes. Feel your feet on the ground. Right here, right now, I want to invite you to just be able to find a little bit of peace in your day. We're going to try to relax our nervous system and be able to get started for this week and just have a minute for ourselves. So what we're going to do, as your feet are firmly on the ground, I'd actually like you to start off today by rubbing your hands on your legs. So you're going to get a little friction going. While you're doing that, it doesn't have to be fast. It can be whatever, however you like to move your hands back and forth. But close your eyes. I'd like you to feel the warmth, the sensation on your hands, on your legs. Move it around your legs, move it to your knees, up and down and back along the sides. While we're doing that, go ahead and take some breaths in. We're going to take a deep breath in and we're going to blow it out very, very slowly. So I invite you to do that. You can stop rubbing your legs and breathe in. And breathe in. And out. Now we're going to move our head from side to side, rolling it from one shoulder to the other. You can feel your neck popping, feeling the tension lighten. You can even take your hand and rub it on your neck, on your shoulders, and give it a little squeeze. Massage it up your neck. Stretch your neck with your hands as you lean your head back and from side to side. And just enjoy that nice long in breath in. We're going to breathe in again and out. Now take your hand and put it on your chest. I'd also like to invite you to put your other hand on your belly. While you're just breathing regularly, just feel your weight of your hand on your chest. The beautiful part about this is it mimics a hug. So if you needed a hug this morning or right now, this is a hug from us to you. We're going to take our awareness from our chest all the way down to their seat, where your hips are sitting firmly in your chair. Just notice the weight of your legs in your chair and slowly going down to your feet. And feeling the energy go all the way down from the top of your head, all the way down to your feet and releasing into the ground. Take another deep breath in and make an audible sound, letting it out. One more in and one more audible sound out. And whenever you're ready, I welcome you back to open your eyes and come back to getting to after. There you go.
Ooh, thank you, Morgan.
You're welcome.
That was nice. You guys, I promised you we were going to do one full, really nice grounding. We can't do it as full as we would do in our tapping circles because we don't have that much time. But you got a little taste, little sprinkling of what that's like. And you have to admit to yourself that that felt good. If you enjoyed that, you're going to want to get your own personal tapping session. I know you want it, especially this month, and especially if you're a survivor. You can go to bit.ly/chat-tap. And we're going to be having some new things popping up in the next week or so. And so we're going to let you know how other ways that you can work with us as well. Now, as we mentioned before, our entire theme right now is breaking through silence. We're supporting Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And this particular week, what we're talking about is beginning financial recovery. So before we, jump into this topic, I want to ask a couple of questions. I'm going to ask this of our audience. I want you to think about this. You may not be in a DV situation. You may not be in a dangerous relationship, but you may have a situation where you've had a turn of events, or maybe you're just starting out. Maybe you're not even in midlife. And these are questions that I think are soul searching enough that we don't like to ask ourselves, or when we see them on TV or in the news or something, or they're brought to our attention. These are the kind of questions that we kind of want to turn and run.
Right?
We don't want to answer them. So I mentioned before, this is one of the books that you want to have. You want to get your Getting to After journal. In the journal, this is a great place to put down what you need to tap on. And I'm going to share with you how you can use these questions to know where your energy resides, and then we're going to get into the conversation. So first things first, there's no right or wrong answer. If you're listening to us in the premiere, great. Just be thinking about them through our conversation. Be thinking about it. If you happen to be able to be watching on the replay, then you may want to stop right now, and you may want to, as you hear the questions, go ahead and journal them out, right? So the first thing is, and there's no judgment. So Morgan, how I feel about some judgment. I'm not into that, right? Unless you refuse to tell the truth, though, you won't know what the real answers are.
That is so true.
So the first thing, and these are first person questions, right? When I think about money right now, what emotion rises first? Is it fear? Is it shame? Is it anxiety? Is it hope? Is it relief? When I think about money right now, what emotion arises inside of me? And then I'd like you to put a number on that feeling. So let's say you're feeling fear, and your fear is like a little bit of fear. You say, well, out of 0 to 10, 0 would be I feel no fear. So that's not one of the ones that you would, put your attention on. But maybe you feel a little bit of fear, but 0 out of 10, you say, well, maybe it's at a 3. I have a little bit of, I'm a little nervous. I kind of peek one eye when I look at the bank account, but I'm pretty good. But it may be really high. Maybe it's toward the end of the month, and I don't know if I have enough to get to the end of the month. Maybe you're feeling that way. Where, put a number to that. Put a number to that. How do you feel about that? 10 being the highest, or say the worst, and 0 being the lowest. The second question is, if my bank account were to tell a story, if it was telling on you, what would it reveal about my survival and my strength?
Mm.
If my bank account were to tell a story, what would that story be? What would it reveal about my survival and my strength? And that's why this is not just for DV survivors or those in transition or for victims. This is for women. If my
Mhm.
bank account could tell a story, what would it reveal about my survival and my strength? And then if the story was, we're not gonna say the story was put out on social media, but the story, how do you feel about the story? How do you feel about the story? And where do you feel that in your body? So again, if the story is saying, you don't have enough, maybe that's that noise you constantly hear. You don't have enough. Your bank account you never have a cushion. And you hear that kind of voice in your head, where do you feel that in your body? Because for the most part, and I can't speak for everyone, there's always some level of financial insecurity, even among people that have plenty, because they never know exactly what's coming down the pike or what they may need. So right now, if my bank account were to tell a story, what would it reveal about my strength, my survival? And how do I feel about the story? Where do I feel it in my body from 0 to 10? How do I feel about that? And then the third thing is, what do I most need my money to do for me in this season? Do I need it to provide peace for me, create options, maybe greater education? Do I need to move house? Um,
Mm.
what do I need my money to do right now? And how much do I believe that I can achieve the goal for which my money is needed? Now, this question is kind of turned over. There's another thing we use in EFT. So sometimes a 0 to 10 is like kind of worst to best. If you use those words, I wouldn't use those words, but you know what I'm saying. But in this case, it's about belief. It's a different kind of question. So, when you think about what I need my money to do most right now for this next season, do I need it to provide options, education, housing, bare necessities? What do I need it to do to prove that I'm here, to prove that I can start again? Not that money is a prover, right? But to guarantee that I have what I need. And how much do I believe that I can achieve the goal, 0 to 10? So maybe you're like, you know what, I don't have it right now, but I'm about an 8. I know I can do it
Mm.
for you, if that's your number. For many, it may be a 2, maybe a 1. You need to write that in your journal. You want to write that down, because that's the kind of thing that we tap on to help release the negativity around the insecurity around that, the stress and anxiety around
Mhm.
that number. EFT can help us, and we're going to later on do a financial insecurity tapping that will do just that.
Mm.
All right. So 0 there would be kind of low faith, and 10 is, yeah, I can do that. And I just want you to hold on to it. Just see how it feels. Just hold on to it and where that might resonate in the body so that you can revisit it during tapping. Did I catch that all right, Morgan? Is that how do you think about those questions? What do you think?
It's amazing how I felt each of those in a different part of my body.
Mhm.
Like, one of them I felt, in my throat, the other one in my chest, the other one in my left ear and the left side of my throat, and then the other one in my back and, like, the back side of my
Mm.
ridge. So it's interesting how each of those emotions, and the level of the anxiety was different in each place.
Yeah. And the thing is, we don't take enough time to think about this. Sometimes we're just running. You don't
Mm.
have the time to think about it. So today, Morgan has been so gracious as to say she'll answer some of this, because I feel like when you have a mirror in front of you, it can help you to see, okay, A, I'm not alone, which is one of the biggest messages we
Mhm.
have. You're
Mhm.
not alone. Alone. Morgan's only one person that can tell you her story. There are so many survivors out there that can tell you their story. We talk to many of them. They're in transition. They're trying to figure out their kids. They're trying to figure out financial things. And this is as we've been beginning financial rebuilding. It's not as if everything's great. It's rebuilding, it's recovery. It's just kind of at a
Mhm.
starting point, but knowing that you can.
Mhm.
We want you to know that rebuilding your financial life is possible. It may be step by step. and maybe
Mhm.
small steps. Like, it's not the big, tall steps, it may be the little steps, and that's good. Today, we're going to share 10 practical tips that you can use for budgeting and recovery in this year, right now, from now to the end of the year. Steps you can take right immediately. Three of the biggest ones we're going to give a little bit more depth to are tracking, really knowing what's coming in and going out,
Mhm.
really knowing what's up, setting small, achievable goals, because sometimes we don't do that, and then celebrating. And we definitely don't do that. We just
Yeah.
don't do it enough. We should. We're also going to talk a little bit about the emotional side of money because let's be honest, it's never just money. There's always some little emotion attached to it as well,
Mhm.
especially where comparison creeps in. So, Morgan,
Tone.
all right. So, we're going to talk a little bit about the emotional side of money. Um, and especially when it comes to DV, especially because some people may not notice, someone may not notice that this is actually happening. So, why don't you share with us how money showed up as control in your old relationship?
So, actually, it's not how you would think it would typically be. Because typically it's a withholding of money to be able to
Okay.
control the situation,
Right.
and with him, what it was is throwing money at us, throwing money at us to be able to control us so we wouldn't want to leave, to let us know that this is what we have, this is the stability I can give you, this
Mhm.
is what you will not have if you choose to walk away from this, because then he would take the money back, that kind of thing. Um, Even to the point of, like, taking my own income away from me, that I was bringing.
Mm.
So it would be either having everything or
All
nothing
or
else.
nothing. Mm.
There's no balance whatsoever. And so with that came so much stress because we didn't know how we had to show up. We didn't know what we needed to do in order to keep that. Well, no, we knew exactly what we needed to do. We played
Right.
the game. You know what I mean? Like, we gave him what he wanted in order to be able to have some level of peace and security within the
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. So how does that affect you now? Okay, obviously you're out of that relationship. Your ex-husband is deceased. Um, and because of that, there was a lot of upheaval when it came to finances. And I just want to say, despite as difficult as it's been, you're navigating. You're
Yeah.
navigating, and that's beautiful because sometimes people don't. They kind of give up. They just, you haven't done any of that, even though it's been challenging. So when you sit down now and you're like, I have to budget, and that, or let's say even a couple of years ago, because I know when you initially left, you were in a shelter, you really didn't have. You had to leave your car, you had to leave all your things. What emotions did you have that kind of surfaced when it was time to kind of look at what we have and what we don't have?
Like what we have back then and what we have now kind of thing.
No, no, no. At that time, thinking about, okay, we've left,
Okay.
and what was kind of going through your mind? Because again, a survivor or a woman in transition is probably trying to deal with those emotions, and I want you to help her level set.
There was a lot of fear and guilt and shame and insecurity that came up. The fear of knowing that I had to provide for 4 people
Yeah.
without the same income or with no income at all at that point, like, everything was taken away at that point. Um, the shame came from knowing that I couldn't provide for my children what I previously had, like those comforts, the
Mhm.
something as simple as going and getting, like, ice cream or going and getting breakfast in the morning before we go do things, go to
The little
school.
extras, yeah,
Yeah, like that little extra stuff.
yeah,
So things like that. The so the shame and the guilt that came from that, it was really a struggle because it made me feel like I was lesser than, or I
yeah,
wasn't able to be as good of a mother because I couldn't provide like the tangible things. But
right,
that's where I had to really, really dig deep, and a lot of coaching came into play with realizing that my value isn't attached to what I can physically, financially give the children, because what I am giving you right now is your life.
yeah,
It is that simple. Like, we don't have these other extras, but we are alive, we are safe, and we're in a place where we're not in immediate danger.
yeah. I can remember, a time. It's funny as children get older, they start to notice more. I don't believe that your children at that time were complaining about it or noticed. Younger kids don't. Younger kids want to be held. They want to be, they miss their things because it was their house that you had to take them from. But I remember something that your son made. I don't know, it was in the snow, and he made his own sled or some kind of. And I just remember you sending me videos of them. They were having the time of their lives. These are not these. If it had been a real toy from a store or whatever, it would have been hundreds and hundreds of dollars. They created it themselves, and they were having a ball. I just
Mhm.
remember sliding down the street on this apparatus that he
Oh.
created. Oh, I don't forget. I've
Oh my
been there.
goodness. No, what they did is they took 2 skateboards and a piece of
It was like,
plywood,
yeah,
and they put one on each side, and then he put a chair over each side of on top of each of the skateboards, and they were literally rolling down the hill. Best moment ever. Like,
yep. No, you
you
can't.
can't do that if you even tried, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was one
And
of those.
you have to be thinking about that. So that's you've walked away, and we've talked about this. You've walked away from everything
Mhm,
more than once. And I think that, again, getting into number 2, this idea, there's this emotional component, but then you have to get down to the nitty-gritty. You're like, "Okay, these are the things we don't have. Okay.
mhm,
So we'll shop at Goodwill." And the kids get excited about it. They're like, "Okay, they understand." I think sometimes it's us as moms, it's more about how we feel about it more than what the kids feel about it.
absolutely.
Um, but now, out of these 10 things we're going to talk about, we may not get to go through all 10. Don't worry. There'll be a resource in the description box that you can get all 10 of these tips.
Mhm,
One of the next ones I know you're going to share with us is this idea of what's coming in and what's going out.
mm,
This idea of how do you do that? And so we call that tracking or accountability. Um,
mhm.
how did that show up for you where you may not have had to do it when you had such an abundance and now it's changed?
Oh, that was a huge learning curve because, like you had mentioned, we had so much that it didn't really matter what I was spending in a sense. And then going to a part of our lives where we had the bare minimum. So this is where tracking really was crucial for us, the expenses of everything we had. So um, literally keeping the receipt for everything that I had spent so that over like a 2 weeks time, it's best to do it in like 2 week increments instead of a
Yeah.
month increment.
Yeah.
Because if you wait a month,
You had to readjust.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so if you do everything in 2 weeks, it's a lot better, and at first, it can feel kinda constrictive because you're looking at it, and then you're going over and you're like, "Oh, wow, I spent this much at Starbucks," or I spent
Yeah.
whatever it is, eating out, that kinda thing, but it's okay, like, there's no emotion that needs to be attached to it at this moment in time because we're just looking at numbers, and
Yeah.
that's all it is, like, what do these numbers say? Where do I need to be? Where do I need to get like, how do I get there to that kinda thing,
Mhm.
so being in a situation where you're just aware of how much money you have coming in and how much is going out, and you can even like make a game of it so that it doesn't seem so scary or intense. I always like to play games of stuff that way it's not overwhelming, right? But then also that way you there's only one way and it's forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're moving forward in that direction, and it also helped me to slowly recognize where all my finances were going. Right? It's not perfect, but it's getting it done. I mean, I remember one time Chatone said something that I loved, and it was about being aware, just
Mhm.
being aware of what's in my finances. Because there was a point where I didn't even wanna, like, look at my bank account,
Yeah.
because I was
Yeah.
scared what
Yeah.
was in here, so I'm like, This is what I need, this is what I need," so I just go and get it, and I'd be like, "Overdraft, overdraft, overdraft," and you're like, "That doesn't help you." So, like,
No.
let's refocus, let's rebudget, and let's just talk about it. So,
Yeah.
having somebody that can also help you reel you in is really nice. And what I
Somebody
mean,
safe.
there you go. Somebody safe that
Add that in.
you don't trust everybody with your
Yeah.
finances. You do
Yeah.
not do that. That is
Yeah.
not wise at all because people will take advantage of you quicker than a hiccup. So making sure that you're in a safe place with who you're confiding in about that, but it's okay to ask for help because some of us just haven't been taught.
Yeah.
Some women just have never been taught what it looks like to do bookkeeping or to have to pay the bills because they were always taken care of.
Yeah. And I mean, when it comes to leaving a difficult relationship, your women are already in shame. I mean, I know you were, and you knew you had to do what you had to do to save your family. Um, there's so many women that are leaving relationships. In my LinkedIn article last week, I mentioned Gloria Mayfield Banks. This is a person who did not have financial issues. She had a great job. She was making plenty of money in her regular job and then also in her side gig.
Mhm.
But the what she was accustomed to. So that's why I said that money is funny because it it grows to what you think you need. And
Hmm.
that's the problem, or it shrinks, and then you're like, "What's going on?" So,
Mhm.
women are supposed to always, you're supposed to have things together as a mom. You're trying to repair the credit, you're trying to get the savings rebuilt, you're trying to get the kids taken, getting all the bills paid on time. That's a lot to do, and also be grieving. And I
Mm.
want to give a plug for the Getting to After magazine for fall. It's available now. You can get it. Um, it has an article in there about grieving and the loss that's not a death, okay? Because sometimes people think that the only grieving that's going on is when someone passes away. But you can grieve a relationship. And I know you mentioned in the magazine, there was a quote that you gave that you grieved it twice. You grieved losing the relationship and what that relationship meant when it went south. But then you also grieved for your kids because they lost their dad completely. And then, of
Mhm.
course, security. We grieve when we don't have security. When people lose their homes and things like that, there's a grieving process that's going on.
Yeah.
And so that awareness helps, that accountability helps because it says, okay, this bill is scary, but it's piled up. Let me at least open the envelope. Let me at least know where it is. Healing can begin once you go to the doctor and you get a diagnosis. Sometimes there has to be basically like a surgery, like when you find out something that's wrong, that's very serious, there's like a cutting away of certain elements. And
Mm.
usually it can happen very naturally, but for some people it doesn't. They just say, okay, I'll just swipe the card. I noticed how it naturally happened for you that there were certain vacations that you always took and you just couldn't
Mm.
take them anymore. But
Mm.
you did look at where can I put things together so that I can still have something for myself, self care. You had that really great mommy trip, and then also you came up here lots of times, so the kids were having a good time, and of course you and I are working and also having a good time. Everything doesn't have to be as big and bold and bodacious and expensive as it used to be, and you can still find little pockets only if you're tracking. Of course, there's women who hate to track, and I shouldn't even say women. There's people who hate to track. Um, what would you say to her?
So, that's lets you know what's really going on. So I didn't always like to do it, but that's the only way that we're able to travel now is by making sure that we're prioritizing, okay, this is how much our rent is, this is what our utility is, this is what our phone bill is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just making sure you have a good list of what's going on makes it so much easier.
Mhm, mhm. I guess it can feel like a big, it can feel hard. But then when you did those things, when you were able to, and you've done a lot of things, like more than just one or two, even if there's not a lot left over, you could be slowly moving debt out of the way, and there's a lot of relief there. Because remember those questions we had before, you could be feeling that guilt, that shame, all these limiting beliefs. So Morgan, obviously you've done all these things. You've prioritized bills. You've made sure there's a little bit of, little fun things going on. You've tried to, rein it back in so that you begin to have that financial recovery. Where do you think that for someone who already has limited funds or limited, money coming in, or there's limitations based on being in recovery, how can they still move toward celebration?
That's a good question. I would say by um, having the small goals, because when you have those little small goals and you celebrate them, has a big impact on you. So like it doesn't matter if I took that $5 I was going to spend on coffee for the week and put that away. That's $5, but then making a big deal of it. I mean, literally being like, "Oh my goodness, I'm so proud of you," or like patting
Yeah,
myself on the back. I mean, giving myself a gold star on my happy little calendar.
yeah,
Whatever it may be, own that moment. Like,
yeah.
don't pass by the things that you do accomplish because those small wins really, really
They
help build
build. Yeah.
confidence, right?
I
Um,
totally agree with that. I love that. Yep.
yeah. And the other things you can do too is you can get like prepaid gift cards. In
Mm,
different increments, you can get that and then put it and tuck it to the side. That way you can use it later for like an outing or something for your family. And you can even use that as a motivational and like put it up as like a reward for the children to see also once we do XYZ, we get to go and utilize this. So it involves the children and gets them excited about it too. And then it also gives you like everybody something to
yeah.
look forward to. Mhm.
And I think the prepaid gift cards is actually a good thing too. Actually, Mark and I used to do that earlier in our marriage. we didn't have a lot at all. And
Mhm.
so what we would do is he'd put money on these cards, and that's what I could spend from. So I wasn't spending up out of the checking account or our savings. I had the money put, because this is before Apple Pay and all of that, right? So
Mhm.
I put the money on a prepaid gift card. I think that that's still, even though it's a little old school, it's a little easier than just having money saying Cash App or Apple Pay sometimes, or Venmo, whatever, because what happens is you have a bank attached to that. So that when that goes down to zero, then the money can just filter in easily from the bank. The thing is to, I think, limit the access,
Mhm.
putting yourself on a little bit more strategic way of managing the money so that
Mhm.
you can have those wins. And I think that's really good. And of course, also knowing that there's support for you.
Yes.
Again, talking about the magazine again, we have a very robust resource section that we
Mhm.
put into this one. I know, Morgan, right? Like, what? That's a nation. It's not every resource, obviously, there's lots of resources, but it is a resource that we have where you can see different DV shelters and
Mhm.
organizations in every region of the United States. And I even, because of course, my husband and I work with the deaf and hard of hearing, we even have a special section for the deaf as well. And so just some agencies and things that specifically are for helping women who are in transition, who are victims of domestic violence and domestic abuse that happen to not be able to hear as well. And so put all that together. So a lot of those resources, financial counselors, there's people out there in community that will give away services to help you rebuild financially for free. It's like a part of what they do. And
Mhm.
so you won't know unless you ask for the help, but asking for the help makes you feel less alone because the help is actually out there.
You know what else was super helpful for me too, because of the fact we always used our cards for everything, was going back to using cash.
Yeah.
Because then I knew I had X amount in my wallet, and once that was gone, it was gone, and it's funny how that changed my mindset on spending, because it's
Yeah.
tangible, right? It's not
Yep.
just a
It's
card, you
very
know,
different.
swipe, swipe, swipe. So that was something that was really handy too.
Yeah. And I know there's some people that use the envelopes method.
Oh, yeah.
They use the envelopes, they have the little pouches, they do different things like that. And then of course there's also the money apps. So it could be that you want to use the Rocket Money. We're not an affiliated with Rocket Money. My daughter uses it. There's all these different things. And there's also looking at those apps, finding out, again, you put that money in, it kind of works digitally like the envelopes work. This
Mhm.
is the money that when you get your pay, you get your money in, no matter how small it is, you put what you have into these little pockets, and then you can use this. Why is this important? Because as we've been talking about this emotional component, there's the reality component of, oh, there may not be enough. Once you realize what you actually have and you can tangibly see it, let's celebrate what it is. Let's celebrate what you have instead of saying, I used to have,
Mm,
surgically cut that off. Because with the used to have might have come a beating,
mm.
might have come verbal abuse, might have been so much fear every time you came in the house. What good is it?
So much comes with it.
So much
The
comes with
the anxiety of it, of
it.
just
Yeah.
what's gonna happen can be very, it's just
Yeah.
overwhelming in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. All right, we have so much to cover in this episode. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys know we've got these 10 tips for budgeting and financial recovery after DV. We're going to make a resource for you, put a link into the bio so that you can grab it. I will tell you, these are things that you need right away. The one that I do want to mention, Morgan, because it's so important, is start with safety first. Start with safety first. We always talk about this. Secure your accounts if you can, even if you've left the relationship.
Yes.
Update your passwords. Why update the passwords? Because if you've been using passwords, the same formula, the same type, it's easy to crack, right? Keep your documents safe. Get us, you want to splurge on something, get a small safe that's
Mhm.
fireproof, that can't be removed easily. Do that. Knowing that you have this financial security is a start to your healing journey. It's a part of getting to after. And so the only way you can do that is by knowing that you're safe, knowing what's coming in, tracking. We've got a bunch of other things on there, and well, I'm just gonna make it available to more because we don't have time to go through them all. I'm gonna just make it available. I'm gonna make it available. All
Um,
right, so we're gonna jump into some tapping. Everyone, if this is your first time tapping with us, I want you to go back into the library and check it out. We have tutorials out there. Of course, again, if you haven't received your fall issue of the magazine, you want to grab that because it tells you we have a lot of tappings in there. These are tappings that we would normally do with paying clients. You can get one magazine or you can get a subscription. We'll talk about this particular tapping again. I think it's really important for anyone who's a survivor, but I think it's really good for women in midlife as well who may have certain feelings about their financial security or needing to, they have fears about their finances, or maybe there's things coming up in particular ages. We're going to be looking to kind of neutralize all that. And remember, we're looking at, how do you feel about your finances right now on a level of 0 to 10? And do you feel it any place in your body? Again, you can always go back into your journal. You can write that down if you are in the replay. And then this is what you're going to want to tap on. If you feel it in a certain part of your body, as Morgan mentioned earlier, these are the things you want to be tapping on and concentrating on so we can start to release all of that. Go ahead and get started. And of course, we're going to start at the karate chop point. You can use these 3 fingers or 2 fingers, and you're going to go ahead and start tapping. And you can repeat after Morgan. You can do that out loud, in a loud voice, in a whisper, or just under your breath, or you can just watch us and just think about it. Even though money makes me feel anxious,
Even though money makes me feel anxious,
I honor how far I've come.
I honor how far I've come.
Even though sometimes I don't know where to start,
Even though sometimes I don't know where to start,
I allow myself to take one step every day.
I allow myself to take one step every day.
Even though rebuilding and recovery feels overwhelming,
Even though rebuilding and recovering feels overwhelming,
I choose to believe that small wins matter.
I choose to believe that small wins matter.
I choose to believe that I deserve to have recovery.
I believe that I deserve to have recovery.
Yeah. And I believe that I can achieve this.
And I believe that I can achieve this.
Okay. Take a deep breath in. We're going to go ahead and get started. On the eyebrow point, tap lightly. I feel anxious when I think about money.
I feel anxious when I think about money.
Side of eye. I feel tightness in my chest.
I feel tightness in my chest.
Under eye. I feel a tightness in my throat.
I feel a tightness in my throat.
As if I can't talk.
As if I can't talk.
Under nose. My stomach feels unsettled.
And my stomach feels unsettled.
Chin. It's hard to look at the numbers.
It's hard to look at the numbers.
Collarbone. There's a pressure building inside.
And there's a pressure building inside.
Underarm. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed and I don't know where to begin.
Sometimes I feel really overwhelmed and I don't know where to begin.
I notice these feelings in my body.
I notice these feelings in my body.
Eyebrow point. I notice these feelings and I don't like them.
I notice these feelings and I don't like them.
Side of eye. There's a heaviness in my spirit.
And there's a heaviness in my spirit.
Under eye. It feels like so much pressure.
It feels like so much pressure.
Under nose. I have fear around money and I feel it in my chest.
I have fear around money and I feel it in my chest.
Chin. It's doing something inside of me that is very negative.
It's doing something inside of me that's very negative.
Collarbone. I don't want to judge myself.
I don't want to judge myself.
I feel that I can start over.
I feel I can start over.
Underarm. I know that awareness is a beginning.
I know that awareness is a beginning.
Top of head. I deserve to begin again.
I deserve to begin again.
Eyebrow point. It's okay to let some of this stress soften.
It's okay to let some of this stress soften.
Side of eye. It's okay to take one breath at a time.
And it's okay to take one breath at a time.
Under eye. It's okay to release this heaviness.
It's okay to release this heaviness.
Under nose, I let the weight go,
I let the weight go,
flying farther away from me.
flying farther away from me.
Chin. I deserve to trust myself.
I deserve to trust myself.
I trust myself around money.
And I trust myself around money.
Collarbone. It's okay to feel calm.
It's okay to feel calm.
It's okay to feel calm about money.
It's okay to feel calm about money.
Even when we don't have what we used to have.
Even when we don't have what we used to have.
It does not define me.
It doesn't define me.
Underarm. It's okay to allow my mind and body to rest.
It's okay to let my mind and my body rest.
And top of head. I believe that I can rebuild.
I believe that I can rebuild.
Okay, so stop tapping. I'm going to do some affirmations. Just repeat after me. Made you thirsty, didn't it?
It really did.
Yeah. That throat. That throat. That throat. Yeah, that dry throat. I can hear it. I can build safely, step by step.
I can build safely, step by step.
I can trust myself with money again.
I can trust myself with money again.
I track what comes in.
I track what comes in.
I track what goes out.
And I track what goes out.
And I celebrate every win, no matter how small.
And I celebrate every win, no matter how small.
See how you smile with that?
Yes.
I am not defined by what was taken from me.
And I'm not defined by what was taken from me.
I'm defined by how I rise up.
I'm defined by how I rise up.
Take a deep breath in. How'd that feel, Morgan?
Very enlightening, very powerful. It's funny that the different things that I was saying where I could feel my throat tighten up, where I could feel it loosen up, even my voice change a little bit with some of the things that we had said.
Yeah.
So it shows me the impact of the emotion, the weight of the emotion that was attached to those things I was saying. Yeah.
If you decided to do that with us, we would love to hear how that works for you. It doesn't matter if you're in the middle of domestic violence. This doesn't mean that, you're intimate, no admission of anything, but it's a powerful tapping when you start to release financial insecurity or you say, I'm going to rebuild right now. It's so, so powerful to own that I'm insecure about money. I feel a little bit of, push and pull with it. It's okay because awareness is how you start to rebuild.
Mm.
Now, Morgan, I know that you told me that you're going to give us a little love note again.
A love note to the survivors. To the woman rebuilding her life, whether it's for you, for your children, or for yourself, I want you to remember this. The amount of money in your account does not measure your worth. You're worth more than what you left behind. Maybe you walked away from comfort, from what looked secure, and now you're learning how to stretch, how to save, how to start again. And it's okay. It's okay to feel sad when you can't give like you used to, or when you have to say no to something that you want. That sadness doesn't make you weak. It reminds you that you cared very, very deeply. But you can also choose life. You choose safety. But you also chose life. And you chose safety. And that was everything. So when things feel tight, be gentle with yourself. Celebrate every small win, every bill paid, every meal made, every quiet night that belongs only to peace. You're not behind. You're becoming. You're doing better than you think, and you're stronger than you know, and you're more capable than you could have ever believed. What you're building now, that's the real wealth. And it's already proof that you're more than enough.
All right, Morgan. Wow. I mean, What can I say?
Mm.
I love it. If you're a survivor, I know you're moved by that. So thanks for being here with us. I want to put this up again so you know how you can contact us. We're in the description box below. It'll be all the links to get all the goodies. We do have this 10 tips for recovery after domestic violence. There'll be a link to that. You also, if you want to get a personal tapping session, here's a link to that.
Mhm.
Morgan, you know, final words, rebuilding after chaos. You always say that, you've been through chaos, you've been through a storm. The numbers are going to change. They'll ebb
Mhm.
and flow. Sometimes there's more, sometimes there's less, but that's actually everybody.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I love what you said in the love note, not attaching your worth to a number.
Mm.
People that do that are never really happy because the
Well,
numbers change.
it does, and rebuilding after that financial chaos isn't just about the money. It's also about reclaiming trust in yourself and your decisions and your instincts, and also the right to have stability again.
Yes. So we would love for you guys to like, subscribe, share this episode, share it with everyone you know, help get the word out about what Morgan and I are doing here because using emotional freedom technique, the breathing techniques that we use, these are the kind of things that reset your nervous system throughout the day, no matter what's going on. You need this. Like, we know you need it. Okay. That's why we're here. Um, and this is something solid, something that you can own, something that you can have. You can have in your phone, you can have on your earphone, you have your headphones on. This is
Mm.
something that gives you a little gentle reset. Also go into our amazing library. We have so many podcast episodes, so many tapping transformations, and they're available for free. Why are we doing it for free, Morgan? I don't know. But in any case, we want you to know about our magazine as well, because the magazine is available for $10. And the reason why it's is because we are giving part of that money back to our Empowerment Essential Kits, which we're not going to discuss today, but you can, again, go back into the description box. You'll hear all about the ways that you can support what we're doing, initiatives for women who are survivors of domestic violence, and of course, their children as well.
Everybody, I just appreciate you spending time with us today. This episode is absolutely amazing. So if it spoke to you, please like, subscribe, and share with other women that you think really, really need these reminders too. And then don't forget, we would love to hear from you. Tell us what resonated the most with you, what gave you hope, and what excited you the most. Also, what you want us to cover next. Your feedback not only encourages us, but it also helps us to create the conversations that matter the most.
Yeah. All right, so we're finding ways to create calm and confidence. We want you to remember who you are. You're not what you've been through. You
Mm.
are becoming. You are getting to after. We love you. Thank you for being here. I'm Chatone Morrison. I am the Princess of Positivity. I believe that you can rock the rest of this week. We want to invite you back next week to be with us as well. All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.